Here we go. Welcome. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us today for Transfer Tuesdays. And today our focus will be on the social science pathway, transferring to earn your bachelor's. And today's event is brought to you by CCBC Academic Advisement, the Office of Transfer and Degree Acceleration, and our CCBC Pathways. And normally your host would be myself and Ann Gamble, but Ann is traveling today. So I'm Courtney Topolsky. I am the Assistant Director of Student Services at our Dundalk campus. And so I help coordinate a lot of our transfer events at CCBC. Ann, who's not able to join us, is the Director of Transfer and Degree Acceleration. And I'm excited that we are joined today by colleagues from across the state of Maryland. And we have Dr. Gilliam from Coppin State University. Dr. Gilliam is Associate Professor and the Department Chair for Department of Social Work. We have Dr. Monroe from Towson University, Professor and Chairperson of the Department of Psychology. We have Caitlin Minch and Kayla Packer from the University of Maryland College Park School of Public Health, and they are recruitment and academic advisors. And we have Dr. Akes. I'm sorry if I'm, okay, good, I said that correctly. From the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Dr. Akes is the Assistant Dean of Field Education for the Social Work Program. So today we're going to go through, I'm going to ask them some questions and have them share some information with you all about what you need to know to be prepared to transfer into their programs. And our first question, like I said, we'll go in the order that we presented, is to provide a brief overview of your program. So panelists, if you would like to share your screen, please let me know.
So does that mean we're starting with me?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Dr. Gilliam, yes.
Good morning. Good morning. So yes, I am Dr. Krista Gilliam, and I am the chairperson for the social work department here at Coppin State University. We have a BSW program. It is a CSWE accredited program. And what else can I tell you about our program? We have a traditional program, which means that we offer classes on campus and in person. We do have a few classes that are offered online, but for the most part, they're offered in person. And then we try to offer courses in the daytime and in the evening with some Saturday course offerings. I don't know what else I can tell you about it. There's a lot of information on our website, and you're certainly welcome to go and get information from the website. It is up to date. There's 54 credits in our social work program. In addition to your social work required courses, there's also an internship component to the program where you do complete a 400-hour internship in the community, where we would place you in the internship in your senior year. And then students are required to either complete a minor or something that we call a elective cluster, which is basically a minor that the students put together themselves, which usually works very nicely for transfer students, because if you do transfer over some courses that don't necessarily fit into a main program, or you've brought over extra courses that are above the general education required courses, those courses usually fit in very nicely for your cluster proposal. And we work with students on developing a proposal that meets the social work requirements to say how those courses help to inform your practice as a social worker. So that is the social work program at Coppin in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. Dr. Monroe?
Hi, I'm Jeff Monroe from Towson University, the psychology department. Our program is in the College of Liberal Arts, so our main goal really is to educate our students with all the skills that we think college students should have, including the ability to think critically and creatively, be innovative, solve problems, communicate well, both in person and in writing, be able to know about and interact with people from different backgrounds, learn how to use technology, etc. Of course, we also want to lay the foundation for students who are interested in a career or graduate school in psychology. We realize that many of our students want a bachelor's degree in psychology and then and don't necessarily want a career in the area of psychology or don't want to go to graduate school. And we're certainly educate those students, but we also know that some of our students want to go on to graduate school in psychology, and we lay the foundation for that. Some of our students even want to go into medical school or law school, and we think we're able to lay the foundation for that as well. We also have a traditional program. We offer a few online courses, but you wouldn't be able to graduate taking only online courses. We have courses, we're pretty big programs, so we have courses offered throughout the day, including evening courses. So it would be possible to take classes in the evening and get what you need to graduate. So I guess that's the basics.
That's fantastic to know. Thank you. I wasn't aware that you could do the program in the evening. So that's fantastic for our students to know, right? Because we have students who are still in high school and we have students who, work full time and are taking care of their families. So Caitlin and Kayla from University of Maryland College Park Public Health.
Yes. Good morning. Thanks again for having us. I'm Caitlin Minch. I'm the undergraduate recruitment advisor for the University of Maryland School of Public Health. And I have with me my colleague, Kayla Packer, who is an academic advisor for the Public Health Science degree program. And I would like to share a single slide real quick just to illustrate our degree programs. Go. All right. So public health is a field that focuses on promoting health, preventing disease, and prolonging active, high-quality lives. And at the University of Maryland School of Public Health, students will study a variety of topics like mental health, health literacy, family and child health, health equity, healthcare access. So if any of that sounds interesting to you students, public health might be the right fit for you. We do offer 4 undergraduate programs. They're all Bachelor of Science degrees. The first is community health, where students study health promotion and community-based interventions for advancing public health. The second is family science, where students study the family unit and how family relationships impact health and well-being. Those 2 programs are our most social science leaning programs. But we also offer a kinesiology degree where students study the movement of the human body and physical activity, as well as a public health science degree where students study public health through a life science lens. So all 4 of these programs are available at the College Park campus. And those classes are going to be your traditional daytime, in-person classes for the most part. There's a few later in the afternoons, maybe even into the evenings, a couple blended learning, maybe a couple online, but mostly in-person, traditional daytime format. But we also offer our public health science degree at the universities at Shady Grove, which is a partnership campus located in Rockville. So if you're interested in, still having kind of that commuter experience, Shady Grove might be a good fit for you. They have their classes skew a little bit more towards the afternoons as well. And so that can be a good option for some students. But yeah, those are our 4 programs.
Great, thank you so much. And Dr. Agus, who is pinch hitting today from the social work program at UMBC.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having us. I'm going to share my screen also for a second.
Of course.
So just a little bit about our social work program. It is accredited by CSWE. We have 2 campuses. We have the main campus in Catonsville, and then as Ms. Mitch was saying about their program, we have one at Shady Grove as well. And as Dr. Gilliam was saying about the undergraduate social work programs, students with a bachelor's degree in social work can go on and apply for an advanced standing social work program. So they could get a master's degree in a year and a summer if they qualify. So only students with bachelor's degrees in social work can do that. since this is a professional program, students with a bachelor's in social work can get licensed in the state of Maryland at that level. And just something else. So with our general education requirements at UMBC, and then we have some prerequisites, and then our field placement is a major part of our senior year. And also our program requires a minor. So I think that's about it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Sorry, my camera fell off midway through this. So our next question, and I will share my screen just so the students can see it for those folks who like to see things, and then I'll take it back down, is what is the math requirement for your program? Because that is often a huge question for our students. What math do I have to take to do this? And we'll start again with Dr. Gilliam from Coppin State.
Great, thank you. The math requirement is, our equivalent here is Math 203, which is a statistics. Can't even say the word. That's how much math is so troublesome for some of us in social work, but it is important and a crucial part of social work because we do have a research requirement in social work, and Math 203, statistics, is the prerequisite for the research. So it is very helpful if the students can take that math requirement before they transfer over to Coppin. So we do encourage them to try to take their math requirement before they transfer if they can. So yes, there's definitely a math requirement for research.
Thank you. And statistics at CCBC is Math 153 for the students. That is the current statistics class we teach. We have been thinking about teaching a more social science-based class, but that has not come to fruition yet. Dr. Monroe?
Yeah, we have our every student at Towson University has to complete a general education requirement to take a math class. And the psych majors, that's the requirement. They just have to complete one of those classes. You do have to get a C or better in the class. Most psych majors take a class that's essentially college algebra, and a good number also take a class that is statistics, taught by the math department. Once you've completed that requirement, then you can, the only other class is that within the psychology department, you have to take a class called behavioral statistics that's taught by psychologists. So it's not as intimidating as the ones taught by mathematicians.
Great, thank you so much. So for our students, college algebra is pre-calc 1, that's Math 163. But if Dr. Monroe is saying that you can transfer any gen ed, then our finite math, which is Math 125, or statistics, which is Math 153. All right, and for College Park?
Good morning, everyone. So for the College Park campus, all of our programs require a fundamental math class and an analytical reasoning class. So for community health, you'd be looking at least Math 113, which is college algebra and trigonometry. I am not you're not the only ones who have trouble saying these math words. And also looking at EPI 315, which is biostatistics for public health, practice for analytical reasoning. Family science, we don't have a specific math requirement for the fundamental math portion, but Stat 100 or our EDMS 451 is usually taken for the analytical reasoning for the stats portion. Kinesiology also needing that Math 113 for the fundamental math course, but no specific requirement for analytical reasoning. And then public health science, which is where I advise, you are required to do Math 120, which is elementary calculus, which I believe CCBC has Math 230, which transfers over. And then also you'd look at EPI 315 for the stats portion. And both of those are actually prerequisites for if students are interested in pre-health programs. So by taking Math 120 and EPI 315, you're kind of knocking those out if you're already on that track. So there's some overlap there. There's also some overlap with other public health science major courses and science courses. So it's important to make sure we have that higher level math and statistics as well, just because it is a much more science foundation with the public health science major.
Thank you so much. And for UMBC.
Yeah, hi. We also require statistics. So that if students, we require that as a social work prerequisite, but it will also count as the gen ed math for the gen ed requirement. So if they do that one class with you, then when they come here, it will count for both.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. And I think except for the calculus, many of our students will be excited to know that they don't have to dive into the calculus pathway. Of course, you know, it makes total sense for the folks who are looking to go into public health or to go into kinesiology and really understanding the human body to have had, you know, more of a math background as well. And for our students, statistics is valuable, right? You want to know if the research that's coming across your desk is valid. And how do you know unless you've learned how statistics works? So our next question for our guests is, do you offer an accelerated BS-MS or BS-MED? I know that different schools have different programs, and if there's something that I missed with this, please let me know and you can share that information. And again, we'll start with our guest from Coppin State, Dr. Gilliam.
At this time, we don't have an accelerated program, but for students who transfer over, they typically can finish in the 4 semesters. If they, complete all of their gen eds when they come over, especially if they transfer with their associate's degree, then we assume that they have all their gen eds done and they go right into their major courses. And many of the electives that they take, like I said, will count towards their cluster. And there's a couple of classes that may also transfer in as social work equivalent classes too. So most of them are finishing in the 4 semester time period. So it's not necessarily accelerated, but if they come with all of their gen eds done, they finish on time, the same as a 4-year degree student.
Great, thank you. Dr. Monroe?
Yeah, the Towson University does offer some accelerated programs outside of the psychology department that are of interest to some psychology majors. For example, there's an accelerated Master of Arts in Teaching some psychology majors might be interested in. There's also one in professional writing. Within psychology, the only one we have is for experimental psychology, and it would allow you to take 9 credits worth of graduate school classes that are required towards that program while you're an undergraduate. So it accelerates things a little bit, but that program is usually 2 years. It might take a semester off of that.
Thank you. A lot of our students don't know that some of these things are out there, so we just want to make sure that they know some of the options and things that they can ask about. And our guest from University of Maryland.
Yeah, I'll share another slide real quick because we do have an accelerated program with a number of different concentrations. So we do offer an accelerated Bachelor of Science, Master of Public Health program, so BS-MPH program, where students can complete both degrees in hopefully, instead of taking 2 years to do your master's, hopefully it's just 1 to 1.5. And the way that we do that is you're allowed to count 12 credits of your graduate work towards your undergraduate degree. So you're able to use those for your upper level classes in your program.
Fantastic. I think she froze. Can everybody still hear me?
Behavioral and community health, biostatistics, epidemiology, environmental health sciences, healthcare management, health equity, health policy analysis and evaluation, and then public health practice and policy. That is our accelerated program, but we also do have other master's programs, like a Master of Science in family therapy, for example. So there's other programs outside of the accelerated tracks too.
And we do not have an accelerated program at UMBC specifically, but like I mentioned before, students can apply to advanced standing Masters of Social Work programs at other universities. And quite a few of our students go to the School of Social Work at University of Maryland, Baltimore, downtown, and there's a program at Shady Grove as well.
Thank you so much. I'm learning a lot. I feel like, I've been doing transfer for 15 years, but sometimes just getting a chance to talk to individual departments is huge for us. So our next question is, do you offer internships or cooperative education experience for your programs? And I have a feeling that a lot of this is going to be yes, especially with our field placement folks here from UMBC. But again, we'll start with Dr. Gilliam. And I would just ask too, if you can, I normally we try not to name drop, but maybe give an example or two of where students might do an internship or a cooperative experience, just so students have an idea of where they might go. Thank you.
Yep. So the social work department is a part of the College of Behavioral and Social Sciences. So we are fortunate to be a part of a college with several programs: psychology, rehabilitation services, addiction services, that all have internships. So social work is only one option. Criminal justice program, and all of our programs have some type of internship component. Our social work program, all of our students during their senior year are required to do a year-long internship. And it typically starts in the fall semester and it continues on to the spring semester. We're very excited to have partnerships all throughout the Baltimore metro area, which most social work schools do have. One internship that stands out, probably that is a notable one, where we have a great relationship with Kennedy Krieger. We have some students that are doing their internship with Kennedy Krieger, which also offers a pathway towards employment for BSW social workers once they graduate. We have internships with community-based programs such as Penn North Time Organization, which focuses on substance abuse and reentry services. We have school-based placements. So there's many different options depending on the student's interest, as well as some of the experiences that we want them to gain to prepare them either to go to a graduate school program or to go into the workforce when they're done. So every student is placed in an internship, and they work collaboratively with our Director of Field Education to place them in an appropriate placement. It's generally about 16 hours a week, so about 2 days a week. Usually doing a regular business hours. We do have some limited evening hours. Most of the internships happen during daytime hours. So we do try to work with students from the very beginning to start preparing themselves for an internship, because they do have supervision with a social worker, and most of the social workers are working during daytime hours. So we do want to make sure that they are prepared and ready to be available for a couple of full days of practice experience to complement what they're learning in the classroom.
Thank you so much. Dr. Monroe?
Yeah, the psychology department, we have over 1,000 majors in our department. So we don't require that every student do an internship. That would just be too much for us to handle. But it is certainly an option. And we send students to a variety of spots all around the Baltimore area. We're located right across the street from Shepherd Pratt Mental Health Institution, so we send students there regularly. But we send students to many other places. Some of them focus on children, some of them focus on elderly, some of them focus on substance use, some of them, all kinds of different community mental health places. I guess I'll give you the one name drop. We actually have a few students who are interested in the doing research with non-human animals. And so we've even sent students to the National Aquarium before.
That's pretty cool. Thank you. And University of Maryland.
All right. Hi, everyone. So we do offer internship experiences for students. We actually require it in community health and family science. So those programs have required internships in their final semester, and those departments, work with students and help them, get placed into those and look for those opportunities. Kinesiology and public health science, they don't require internships, but they're strongly encouraged. There are opportunities to get credit for internships and research that you might be involved in as a student. Some of the places that students are involved at are the Maryland Department of Health, the NIH. There are so many branches that students can be involved in, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And then there's also a lot of opportunity to work directly with faculty, doing research on campus, and that opens so many doors. It helps make that connection with someone in the field. You're gaining experience while you're working with them, and also makes that connection again for when it comes time to needing letters of recommendation, or support during application times, or things like that. So lots of opportunity at the University of Maryland School of Public Health.
Thank you. And Dr. Akes, since this is your field, tell us where your students go.
Well, Dr. Gilliam said it all. It's very similar to Coppin State, where students, they start in the fall, they go through the spring in the same placement, 2 days a week. We do I think a pretty intensive matching process with the students to make, see where they live, see what they're interested in, see what populations they want to work with. Because we do see this, a lot of times students get jobs with their field placement, or they get a letter of recommendation for the graduate school from their field placement supervisor. And we have the same types of agencies, Baltimore City Schools, we have medical facilities, we have places that help elderly and immigrants and refugees. So we have a wide array of different agencies that students can choose from.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So our next question, comes out of my years of students saying, I wish I would have known. Are there common pitfalls that you would like our prospective transfer students to know? So without calling out UMBC, I will say that all of their majors require a world language, right, to graduate. And so that's a common pitfall that I know of that students may, and I'm sure you'll cover, that want to go to UMBC. So we'll start again with Dr. Gilliam from Coppin, but are there common pitfalls or things that you really would like our students to know?
Certainly. Social work is a profession. And so unlike some of the other majors, you have to be admitted into the social work program, which is an additional step than being admitted to the university. So you come into our program as a pre-major. You take our Social Work 210, which is the Intro to Social Work course, and also our Methods 1 course, and then you're able to apply to come into the social work program and get admitted. You have to maintain a 2.5 or better GPA in order to, 1, be admitted, and 2, to stay in the program. And then we do have some courses like our field placement and our practice courses, which must be taken concurrently. So you have to take them at the same time, and you must pass both of them at the same time in order to move forward in the program. So we do have some requirements that are a little bit more rigid than some of the other majors. And so that's one of the pitfalls that students just automatically assume they want to do social work and they can do social work, but we are a profession. So we do have some accreditation standards that we're required to follow. And then also at Coppin, we have probably an even balance between traditional and what some people call non-traditional, which are really more of the traditional students now. So we have a wide variety of students. And so there are the evening classes and the day classes. And so depending on, what your schedule is like, scheduling is also a big thing. So you do have to plan out your schedule in advance. So I think those are probably the main pitfalls that I would say, is that a lot of times people don't recognize the seriousness of maintaining their GPA, and you must have a C or better in all of your social work classes. So those are the things that I want to know. Yeah. And we do have some other excellent majors for people who think they want to do social work, but they really just want to help people. There's a lot of great majors and professions out there where you can help people that are not necessarily social work. So we really do try to meet with people and really understand why are they choosing social work and if this is going to be a good fit for them.
I'm smiling because I have this conversation with students who want to go into nursing, but they're not maybe super excited about the sciences. And so we have the same conversation. There are lots of ways to help others without being a nurse. So you hit me right here with that one. Dr. Monroe?
Hi. Yeah, I guess the two things for me would be, first of all, it probably doesn't make sense to take like every psychology class you can take at CCBC. They're not all going to transfer in to Towson University. I think the ones that would make the most sense would be intro psych, of course, principles of human growth and development, abnormal psych, social psych, and one other psych class can count as elective. But beyond that, there's sort of nowhere to fit them in our psych major. So my advice would be to try to get a lot of the gen eds, or what we call the university core requirements, out of the way, and a few psych classes before you come here. The second thing is, and probably everyone would say this, you're coming to a new school. It's got like a new system, a new way to register, a new, new online system. Everything's different, and it's easy for transfer students to sort of get lost in that. So my advice would be to connect with a faculty member or advisor early on. Just talk to them about, it doesn't have to be about questions you have, just kind of just someone that you know that you can go to when the questions do arise. Don't put that off. Don't sort of be quiet in the background. Advocate for yourself, and that will ensure that any problems that do arise can be prevented.
Thank you. And I will share at this point that we do have new Degrees to Succeed partnerships with Towson, UMBC, and Coppin State. And that allows students to be duly admitted, not duly enrolled, but duly admitted with both schools, and allows them to get co-advised all the way through. Now, University of Maryland has their whole pre-transfer advising piece, so a little different. And they're not currently part of our partnership because it is brand new, but that would allow someone to do exactly what Dr. Monroe said, be working with an advisor from CCBC and from Towson from the get-go, and have that connection. So we're hoping that that's going to help our students too. So students who are watching this, if you're like, oh, that sounds really cool, please talk to your advisor. All right. And our guest from University of Maryland.
Thanks, Courtney. So some of the things that we would like prospective transfer students to know is that all of our major courses do require a C- or better. We also have benchmarks within our majors. So these are required major courses that you would successfully complete within a certain time frame to make sure that you are staying on track within the major, taking courses in the correct sequence, and it just helps with scheduling and again, pacing a little bit. One thing is that once you are a student into the major, pretty much all of the major courses are taken at UMD. There are a few exceptions for study abroad courses if you're, or for study abroad opportunities. If you're interested in wanting to study abroad, you could probably fit that in somewhere, but that really is the only exception. And again, I'll hit on the pacing yourself, not signing up for too many classes in your first semester at UMD, giving yourself that time to adjust. meeting people, making connections as you're first getting onto campus. We do offer, the School of Public Health offers a course called Univ 106, and it's a 1-credit transfer student support course. It's offered in the spring and the fall semesters, and it's really designed to support that successful transition for students and to be a resource for campus living and learning. So I would highly recommend signing up for that course. If you do find yourself here, it'll be a great, transitional piece to help you with.
Thank you. Fantastic. And Dr. Ickes from UMBC, I know I kind of used you as an example,
Yeah.
but we'll let you explain and go from there.
Glad you said that. If students can get the language requirement done before they come, as well as the statistics, that seems to really be the two things that hold students up when they get here. So if those can be finished, it's a great help. Also, social work, for a prerequisite, we require a human biology. And so it seems like it's been really hard for students to take that at UMBC because they save the spots for the majors. So if that can be done, especially with the lab, it's one of those courses, even like Bio 100 or 101, it can count both for our prerequisite and the science and gen ed. So those 3 classes are good to be finished with. And like Dr. Monroe said, it seems like when students pick a major at CCBC, right, like alcohol and drug counseling or whatever all the things are, they do lose a lot of credits coming in, and they usually are better served by getting all their gen ed stuff done. So I don't know how your program people feel about that, but it just, a lot of those credits come over and they go towards the 120 to graduate, but they are not fitting into the social work or even the minor programs a lot of times.
Right. So you're referring to our human service counseling program, which is an applied science. It's an AAS degree. It is not naturally designed to transfer. It is designed for our students to enter the workforce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but those would be a lot of the students that you would be seeing if they have classes in substance abuse counseling, psychopharmacology, things like that, which is one of my favorite titles to say because it's kind of fun. But they would have done our HUSK program, as we call it. I know that we are looking into how we can maybe have an AA version of something like that to be more flexible. But again, things that are in the works and not ready to go at this point. So thank you so very much. Our last formal question, and I'm asking this one because, you know, students, especially our younger students who are not already working in the field, their families are often saying like, well, can they actually get a job doing X, Y, and Z? What can you do with a psychology degree? Where can you work? Social work, they don't make any money. All of these things are things that I hear or have heard over the last 20 years on the regular. So if you could just talk to me a little bit about where most of your students might find employment after degree completion, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll again start with Dr. Gilliam.
So one of the things that we have started doing in recent times is when students first come into Intro to Social Work, we start talking about this employment outlook for social workers. And we start the networking process immediately, where students are networking and learning more about what the opportunities are. A majority of our students do graduate and decide to go on and get their master's degree because of the advanced standing option that's available to them. And we have partnerships with several universities in several different states. We try to encourage students to really expand their horizons, to think about who's offering scholarships and fellowships and research opportunities for them to get their graduate degrees. And so we develop these partnerships with different universities so that students can maximize their opportunities for a master's degree. But we also have a good number of students who are working in the workforce in probation department, police department, child welfare services, school-based settings with their bachelor's degrees, and we are working to build our partnerships through internships that can turn into employment once students graduate. So the job prospects for social workers is great. We're working with our profession to change this narrative that social workers don't make money, because it's just not true. We don't necessarily make what we should make in comparison to some of our other counterparts out there, but you can make a nice living as a social worker and do good in our society. And so we start out at the very beginning of your program, really helping students to develop their resume, their cover letters, and they get to see what it looks like when they first come into the program, and then they work on it as a senior project when they leave the program to see how far they have come in their process. So all of our students who want to work are working. We have a couple who they don't want to work and they're living their best life, doing all kinds of other things. But there are jobs, there are opportunities available, and we do our best to not only prepare students for those, but to also make them aware and build the partnerships for that.
Thank you so much. Dr. Monroe?
So like I said earlier, we have over 1,000 psychology majors. That means hundreds are graduating every year and they're finding jobs. And in a wide variety of areas, really. So some of them get into jobs that are not even in psychology. We were surprised to learn T. Rowe Price, which is a financial institution in Baltimore. The department that they hire the most Towson University students, well, it's business, that makes sense. But number 2 is psychology. So which, and that means they're getting hired in like human resources departments, sales, marketing, and even we also did another survey that we realized that about 10 years out after graduating, that surprisingly high percentage of our students had risen to leadership positions like management sort of things. We also find some of our students get jobs in academic settings, not as teachers, but like we have an advisor in our career center who was a psychology major. We have people in residence life who are psychology majors. And of course, there are lots of jobs for people with a bachelor's degree in psychology. They're out there, a lot of the same places I mentioned with when I mentioned internships. If you're thinking about a license, like you want to be a licensed clinical psychologist or a licensed counseling psychologist or a licensed school psychologist, well, then you have to be thinking about a master's degree. So you have to be thinking about graduate school. But certainly there are plenty of jobs out there, and it's kind of up to the student and their work with our career center to find the one that makes sense for them.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and just like everyone said, we have a lot of different buckets of where students are going. We have students who go to work for like national government agencies, right? Like thinking about the CDC and NIH, EPA, Food and Drug Administration. We have students who will go into healthcare or hospitals, like Kaiser Permanente, for example. Some students will go into more the private practice side, like a lot of our kinesiology majors will go to work for physical therapy locations, things like that. We have a lot of students going into nonprofit work too, AARP, Special Olympics, the ARC, different organizations like that. And then of course, folks going into local government. So county health departments, parks and rec, those sorts of places. And then a lot of our students are going on to either graduate school or some kind of health program. So a lot of our students are going on to potentially social work programs as graduate degrees, counseling or therapy masters. And then we do have a lot of students interested in health programs. So we have a lot of students going on into physical therapy, occupational therapy, med school, dental school, nursing, a lot of different occupations like that. So there really are quite a few doors open to students in public health.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
I would just echo what everyone else has said. For our students, the majority of ours do go on to grad school, but there are some that get placed in like working with developmentally disabled population and working with children and child welfare type agencies. And so there are just so many options with social work in so many places to work. I did want to mention one program that we have is called the Title IV-E program, and it's a federally funded recruitment program to professionalize the child welfare workforce. So the students get a large stipend, I think a large stipend, $8,500 to do their senior year of field placement in a local Department of Social Services, working with foster care or adoptions or family preservation. And then kind of like the route is that they will get their master's. They can continue to do Title IV-E if they go to University of Maryland. And they get a stipend for that. And then they're recruited into the workforce. So then they're hired as anyone else would be with the benefits and the salary. But it's just a way the feds are trying to professionalize that workforce. So I think that's a great program we have.
That's awesome. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. I want to give you this opportunity. If there's anything that I didn't ask that you want to make sure our students know, I would be glad to open up the floor for that. If you think we covered it all well, that's fantastic too.
One thing I wanted to add is we were talking about the salaries is we have a professional conversation series, and for the last couple of years, almost all of the students who have returned to do professional conversations make more money than me. So they are definitely out there doing very well. And then the other thing that I wanted to say about Coppin is that we are a small school, so our classroom sizes are small. You do get a faculty advisor as your advisor when you come over here, so you do get to know the faculty very well. We are we call ourselves a little family in here, and we have very close relationships with, most of our alum who stay in contact with us. So I think it's probably one of the best things that I like about Coppin is, our dean, our provost, all of these people are very accessible because we are a small school. So if you're looking for a small school and a small program, I think that's one of the highlights of the program at Coppin is that we're still small enough that you do get that personalized support and services.
Thank you.
Courtney, are we able to take questions from the students or no? There's no way to do that.
I don't know that we have anybody on other than us, unfortunately. So we did record it. I know that Dr. Well, I just call you Azar, from our faculty shared this out across with her colleagues and we posted it. So we're going to put this on our YouTube channel. And we can track the views, and what we have found recently is we get a lot more views when students can just watch it at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever time they're watching things. So I wish that we had more folks here. Azar, do you have questions that you would like answered? You're muted, dear.
I want to thank you, but when you talk about, what they get out when they are graduating and what kind of job they get and they get money, because a lot of our students are coming to the college and they think that they're going to the nursing program because of course they help the people, but they can't make money. But then, when they come to me, I teach psychology and I love psychology, and I tell them that there is a job, and say, really? There's a job? Are you sure? They say, oh yeah, you see, I have a job. A lot of our faculty have a job. Of course, we went, higher up, but we do have the, people with the Bachelor of Psychology that they can do a lot of good things and they earn good money. So I'm really glad that you mentioned it, that, Dr. Jillian, that, some of them are making, social worker more than us. So that's something that we have to tell our students, because unfortunately, years ago, it was between, is the, going to college, education better or money? And a lot of, from my generation, from my background, it was education versus money. Now it's just, if you ask our, students, which one is better? It's always not everyone, a lot of us will go to where the money. So of course, if we can help, that will be better. And I'm really thankful that you talk about it, that, you know, you can go to social work, to, you know, public health, psychology, and still you can find a good job that you can be satisfied and you can earn money. And it's not that because you go to the nursing, and as Courtney, you know, she mentioned it, a lot of them don't like math, a lot of them don't like biology, but they are going to nursing because they can make money. So anyhow, I want to thank you again. And so I'm sure we will get a lot of questions. So then, you know, we have your email, and if you don't mind, we will forward it to you. So thank you very much for being here.
And I would like to share with the students who watch this in the future, my undergraduate is in sociology. My master's is in counseling. My husband has 4 college degrees. He is a research biologist. I make more money than he does. So it really just depends on the field that you go into, right? And how you choose to kind of find your pathway through things. So, and he's okay with me sharing that. So I'm not, you know, we always joke about it. So it really does depend on kind of the route you go and where you want to go with your life. So I want to thank you all so very much for joining us today. Please, if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to me. Like I said, we will get this recording up on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and look at it, or if you have students who are contacting you and you're like, hey, they did it, whatever, it's CCBC Transfer on our YouTube channel. And I wish you all a wonderful day and a happy holiday season as they are approaching us very rapidly.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.